Well, welcome back to session 2 of Understanding One Another. And if you're
The fun thing about
you have
discovering how you can learn to balance each other.
that you have varying amounts of D and I and S and C in your behavioral style. But Dennis, folks probably have no idea what any of that means at this point.
You don't know any of what it means. And right now, there are a lot of folks sitting in the audience wondering, how does this relate to marriage? Who am I? How do I apply this to my children? And you know what? You're in for one of the most fun-filled experiences as you discover some insights about yourself that you could ever imagine. When I took this instrument, I recall as a young man finally understanding why I related to people the way I related to them. And I understood why they reacted the way they reacted to me. And I began to learn some things of how I related to people under pressure and how that changed as my circumstances changed. And it had a great impact not only on me, but also our marriage.
Barbara, if somebody has just learned that she is a high S, is that good or bad?
It's neither. That's just the way they are. That's the way God created them as an individual. And some people are going to be high C, and that's not good or bad, either one. What you discover as you go through this is you figure out who you are, the way God made you, and how that complements your marriage relationship, how that fits in with who you are and who your husband is or who your wife is. And
Taking the
thing about it is
and you've learned
how you can learn to balance each other and discovering what your potential areas of conflict are. Because that's one of the things we discovered from taking it.
Well, before we're done with all of this, Dennis, we are going to learn how these different styles can either complement one another or can sometimes clash.
That's right. And as you discover how you impact your spouse with your particular style of relating to him or to her, I think you're going to get great benefits that you're going to carry on into your marriage, your raising of your children, and also to your workplace.
Well, let's get a better understanding of what D and I and S and C are really all about as we continue on our journey toward understanding one another with Charlie Boyd.
Thank you. How many of you have seen one of these before? Just about everybody has seen them. I remember the first time that I ever saw one of these things. Karen and I was at the mall, and we walked by a storefront, and there were a whole lot of people gathered around outside the window, and they're all peeking in the window, squinting their eyes, and there was a picture kind of like this, but it's about 3 feet by 4 feet on the inside. And they were all going, I see it, looks like a unicorn to me. No, it's a group of fish. It's they were guessing all of these kinds of things. And for the longest time, I could not see the picture in here. They're called 3D pictures or magic eye or something like that. But who knows, how many can see the picture in these things? Okay, all right, about half of you. Who knows, what's the secret to seeing the three-dimensional picture? Somebody tell me, what's the secret? Yeah. Get your eyes out of focus, all right? That's one way of putting it. Somebody else, what would, yeah?
Look deep past the picture.
Look deep past the picture. Yeah, both of those are close. One of the best explanations that I've ever run across, I saw on some postcards, and on the back of the postcard it said what you're supposed to do is pull away and see through. You put it up to your nose and you pull away and you see through. Now, I like that. Now, this one, I think when you pull away and see through, there's a big heart, and it says, I love you in the middle of it. Now, I like that whole idea of pulling away and seeing through, because that's what we're trying to do in these sessions. We're trying to pull away and see through. We're trying to see our partner for who God made him or her to be. We're trying to pull away and see through the differences in our mates. We're trying to understand this person that we married. We thought we understood them when we first got married, but it didn't take long till we woke up one morning and looked at them and they look like this, with no makeup on. We're trying to pull away and see through. Sometimes it's easy to forget that the person that we married is God's perfect provision for our needs. Sometimes the best things that we can do is to get away for a time like this or get away for a study like this and pull away and see through all the clutter and the confusion and the conflict that often arises. What we're trying to do is pull away and see differences as assets rather than deficits. And what we're going to do in this session is learn a language that will help us describe our similarities and our differences in very positive and affirming ways. Now, in the last session, you worked your way through the profile, and everyone should have a graph of their personal profile, a line graph of your behavioral profile. Everybody got that? Okay. If we can't describe how we're alike and how we're different in affirming ways, then we oftentimes will put our own labels on people, like there's a jerk, or he's stupid, or she's an airhead, or something. We'll put labels on people that are very critical and judgmental. What I like about this DISC system is that it gives us a language to describe our similarities and differences in a very positive way. If you will take your workbook, we're at Roman numeral 2, discovering your personal profile. Letter A, understanding the DISC system of behavior. I want to acquaint you with some of what you did, explain parts of it so we're all on the same page. First of all, the graph. What is that graph? Well, the graph is a visual picture of your behavior pattern. You went through the profile and you answered, I'm most this way and I'm least this way. I'm not here to tell you how you are or who you are. You went through and you responded, I am most this way and I'm least this way. And then we tallied those responses and we plotted the graph. The graph then represents the behavior tendencies that you believe best reflects the way you usually act and react. The graph is a graphic image of what you have said about yourself. Now, on that graph, some of your plotting points were high, meaning they were above segment 4. Some of them were high, some of them were low, some of them were in the middle. Now, the position of the plotting point is not a good thing or a bad thing. A high plotting point simply means that you use a lot of that kind of behavior. You expend natural energy to express that kind of behavior. A low plotting point simply means you don't use that kind of behavior very often. And if you're in segment 4 or somewhere around the middle, that just means that you use a moderate amount of that kind of behavior. Some of you will have profiles where you're very close to the middle. That's not a good or a bad thing. It just means at this point in time, when you responded to the profile, you are using a moderate amount of all of the behaviors, okay? Now, number 3 says you are really a combination of all 4 plotting points. You are really a combination of all 4 plotting points. That's why I like referring to your personal profile as your behavior pattern. We're not trying just to boil this thing down and make you be one letter. Some of you have 2 or 3 points that may be high. So let's say if you're a high I, but you're also a high S, then when I'm going through the material on a high I, then not everything that I say about the high I will be true of you, because some of those high S characteristics will cancel it out. But you are a combination of all 4 plotting points. Now on the next page you see the DISC model. So if you would turn the page,